Did Joe Schoen and the New York Giants say no to a Justin Jefferson trade in the NFL draft? We're going to unpack that on today's show as rumors are coming out that the Vikings were trying to trade up to select Malik Nabers and were willing to move on from Jefferson. Before we dive into that, though, I want to hear from all the real ones in the comment section. If you could only have one of these wide receivers to build your wide receiver core around for the next 10 years, who would you choose? Is it Nabers? Is it Jefferson? I want to hear from you in the comment section. Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green, and let's get into it. Did the New York Giants choose Malik Nabers over a Justin Jefferson trade? Over the weekend, reports came out that Minnesota was trying to move inside the top 5 to select Malik Nabers and were willing to give up Jefferson. But we don't know for sure that they offered that trade. And we don't know for sure if they offered that trade to the New York Giants. But if they did offer it for number 5, I would only assume that they also made the same offer to the Giants at number 6. Here's what Charlie Walters said on the matter from the St. Paul Pioneer Press. Quote, "There was buzz at the NFL draft that the Vikings wanted to move from number 11 to number 5. Not to pick a QB, but to get LSU wide receiver Malik Nabers, who was picked number 6 by the Giants. Had that trade occurred, Jefferson would have been traded, and Malik Nabers would have been the number 1 wide receiver for Minnesota." The question that I asked myself immediately after reading this article was that offer that was made to the Los Angeles Chargers of Justin Jefferson, pick 11, to go up to number 6, or maybe it was just Justin Jefferson pick number 5. Was that deal on the table? Was that presented as well to Joe Schoen? Because if I am Quezzy, the general manager for the Minnesota Vikings, and I absolutely want Nabers, I'm also going to offer that package to the team picking at 6 while he's still on the board. We don't know if for sure that did happen. But I do know this. If there's any receiver in the NFL that I would trade pick number 6 for, it is Justin Jefferson. The best receiver in the NFL right now. Is anybody going to argue that? The best start to an NFL career for a receiver in NFL history? I don't think anyone's going to argue that. And he's still just 24 years old. Even in a shortened year, this year, where he missed 7 games due to an injury, played in just 10 ball games, the guy still had 68 catches for almost 1,100 yards, 15.8 yards per catch, 5 touchdowns, doing this with second, third, and fourth-string quarterbacks last year following that Kirk Cousins injury. The year before that, 128 grabs, 1,800 yards, 108 grabs, 1,600 yards, 88 catches, 1,400 yards. The guy's a stud, and he's on pace to have a Hall of Fame commencement speech in 15 years. But the reason, or one of the reasons you may say no to trading for him, is because he is looking for a new contract. And I am sure he is looking to become the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL, while maybe also becoming the highest paid player in the NFL that is not a quarterback. And the way these wide receivers are being paid these days, they're being paid like they are quarterbacks at this point. A.J. Brown just inked a deal this offseason where he's getting paid $32 million per year. Tyreek Hill's getting paid $30. Amon-Ra St. Brown, $30. Devontae Adams, $28. Cooper Kupp, $26. Devontae Smith, $25. DK Metcalf, $24 million. Deebo Samuel, $23 million. Michael Pittman Jr. somehow is making $23 million. And then Terry McLaurin making $23 million. But this graphic right here that we're showing you on screen, we're going to have to update that in about a month because Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Brandon Ayuk all want new money. And these 1, 2, 3, 4, these might be the 4 highest paid receivers in the National Football League come August, come September. They are going to reset that market. And are the Giants in a spot right now, salary cap-wise, really their road to competition and being a top-end team in this league, are they in a spot to pay a wide receiver $35 million per year? You can look at that both sides. If you're paying a wide receiver $35 million per year, that means that guy is really freaking good. And he's probably making your team better. And that's a good problem to have. People act like it's always a bad thing that you got to pay players. No, you pay the good ones, and we would love to pay a $35 million receiver. The Giants aren't competing right now for a Super Bowl. You can only do this if you're competing and trying to win a Lombardi trophy right now. On top of the fact the Giants have just $1.1 million in salary cap space. That number will go up to almost $12.5 million when and if Darren Waller retires or is a post-June 1st cut. And there's multiple ways for the Giants to clear up more cap space. But with where you are there and with where you are when it comes to competing in the NFC East alone, as well as the NFC, I don't know. And we saw the Minnesota Vikings go through this situation back in 2019. They had Stephon Diggs, traded him to the Bills, got the first-round pick. They selected Justin Jefferson. I believe Joe Schoen made the right call, and you know what? That may even still ring true for me if Malik Nabers is never the wide receiver that Justin Jefferson is. Because I don't think that's fair to put him up to that type of comparison, to compare him to Jefferson, who's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. But he's just 20 years old. He's just 20 years old. Jefferson, 24 years old at this point, so he's still a young player as well. And he's only going to get better. There's no doubt about that. But man, he's young, talented, and cost-controlled for the next 5 seasons. At 20 years old, I'm cool with that. In 5 years, he'll be 25. Then he'll be due for an extension. And it would be an honor for the Giants to pay him the big bucks in 5 years. And that's what you want to be. That's where you want to be. But right now, with where you're at team building-wise, roster construction-wise, salary cap-wise, I think Joe Schoen made the right call if that deal was even presented. I assume if it was presented to the Chargers at 5, they would have made the offer to the Giants at number 6 as well. If they did, if they didn't, I really don't care at this point. Malik Nabers is a Giant, and I am expecting big things from him in his rookie season. We're going to talk about that rookie season around the corner as ESPN has put a stat projection, for all of the rookie wide receivers. And the numbers that they got out there right now for Malik Nabers, I like them. But I think one statistic that they talked about might be a little bit too low. That's around the corner. But first, make sure you are hooked up with a Brian Burns jersey for Week 1. If you want to get your brand new Brian Burns New York Giant jersey, go to chatsports.com/Burns. That's chatsports.com/Burns. Get your jersey today. I'll make sure this link is clickable down in the comments and description of today's video. Giants paid $150 million for a pass rusher. He better be ready to play. All righty, ESPN has come out with an article talking about what they think the rookie wide receivers are going to do this year. It was Mike Clay of ESPN. He projected stats for rookie wide receivers in the NFL, and he had some very nice things to say about Malik Nabers. And like Mike Clay, I am also expecting him to really do a lot of good things for the Giants this year. I'm expecting him to be involved in the pass game, obviously, but even when he's using those jet sweeps behind the line of scrimmage, a couple of pop passes, maybe a reverse or something like that. Any way the Giants can get the ball in the hands of Malik Nabers, I'm expecting them to do so. In ESPN, they think Nabers is going to have over 1,000 yards in his rookie season, number 2 amongst rookies. They've got Marvin Harrison Jr. going for over 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns. Malik Nabers, 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns. Brian Thomas Jr., 800 yards, 814 yards, 5 touchdowns. Keon Coleman, 810 yards, 5 TDs. And Rome Odunze, 803 yards and 6 touchdowns. So I got Nabers projected to be the second stat-leading receiver. And this would be a great season for the Giants. If the Giants are able to get 1,000 yards from their rookie receiver, that'd be awesome. And that would probably mean that Daniel Jones has a pretty good year, or maybe Drew Lock comes in and he does that as well. I want you guys to look at this picture in this graphic right here. This also comes from the ESPN article. It shows the history of some of these top wide receivers selected in the NFL draft. And you look at guys like Jamar Chase and Garrett Wilson and Amari Cooper, A.J. Green, Mike Evans, Jalen Waddle, Sammy Watkins, Julio Jones, Devontae Smith, Drake London, Justin Blackmon, Tavon Austin, Corey Davis, Mike Williams. 11 of the 14 wide receivers that are pictured here on this screen had at least 865 yards. So 11 of these 14 guys were able to go for 865 yards. That is the bare minimum that I am honestly expecting from Nabers in his rookie year. And the 3 wide receivers that did not put up at least 865 yards a rookie year were Tavon Austin, Corey Davis, and Mike Williams. I'm expecting big things from Nabers, and I'm expecting as well for the Giants to have a new receiving leader. You look at what they've done since 2019. It's been Darius Slayton, and a little bit of Kenny Golladay. You talk about Giants leading receivers. Hasn't been pretty. That's why you select a receiver number 6 overall. Darius Slayton, he's been pictured on this graphic far too many times, and I don't mean that in any disrespectful way. I'm just saying, if Darius Slayton's your number 1 wide receiver for 4 out of the last 5 years, and the only year he wasn't was when Kenny Golladay led the team with 521 yards, that's a terrible, terrible product. And that's what the Giants have been at the receiver position. The last receiver for the Giants to have over 1,000 yards in a season was Odell Beckham Jr. in 2018. I'm tired of saying that, and you know what? I don't feel like we're going to have to any longer. I really do think Nabrs is going to be great his rookie year, and I'm expecting him to be great from the moment he puts on the blue helmet with the white NY and the red stripe down. I expect big things from him. So happens to get picked number 6 overall. You're expected to change life for your offense, and he will do that. Daniel Jones has never thrown to somebody like this. Brian Daboll has not coached anybody like this on the New York Giants. And I'm expecting him to do what he did in the SEC, in the NFC East this year. Look, the guy's special. I don't really have much more to say about him. He's a great player. And Giants, we're lucky to have him. And you know what? I'm probably going to buy his jersey here pretty soon once he picks a number, which I don't know what he's going to do, but we'll find out what he's going to do. All I hope is he's scoring a lot of touchdowns this year for the Giants. You got a whole new look, though, at the wide receiver depth chart. Malik Nabers, Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, and Wan'Dale Robinson. Those are your core 4. And you got guys competing for those final 2 roster spots. And Isaiah Hodgins, Allen Robinson, Gunnar Olszewski, Isaiah McKenzie, Bryce Ford-Wheaton, maybe John Giles as a UDFA. But the 4 guys that are going to be catching the rock this year: Nabrs, Slayton, Hyatt, and Robinson. Let's close the show with a question. 5 touchdowns for Malik Nabers this year. I want to hear from you in the comment section. Type O for over, type U for under. Let me know what you think. 5 TDs for Malik Nabers this season. Make sure you are following me over on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram at @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up over there. Producer Reed, getting things on screen. Let's ride at @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up over there. We're going to sign off. We'll have another video out on the channel today as the Giants are wrapping up OTA day number 4. Darius Slayton finally showed up. We'll talk about that in a couple of hours. So subscribe and turn your noties on.